in painting this, so I made a card up to send to the author of the book, and he used it with, and this is a proof sheet here, step in front, folio to show off, okay, and Larry saw it, and he has a wonderful little novel. His first novel was self-published, and then his one about the young life of Herman Melville, author of Moby Dick, of course, turned around and won a National Book Award. So I'm very proud to have done that, and I spent the last couple of days just coloring it. Text. So I followed her down the crooky stairs to where the waffles cooked. Oh, creaky stairs, my eyes. And there in the blue kitchen, she told me about a mermaid who came to live behind the house in the hollow oak tree. Grandmother saw her, for she could see things that were never seen by me. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll make an illustration of that. I made the illustration of that, and then Larry put his book out, and he has some lovely passages in it that fit very well.
So what is the year of this?
This must be in the early 80s, late 70s, the drawing. And then a little while later, Larry saw it, probably in this form, and said, can I use it for my cover of my book? And when the line here said in the blue kitchen, I've always imagined it being a blue kitchen, and I accepted the challenge the other day to make the kitchen blue. So that was a lot of fun. And now I prepare a little card showing it off over here to turn and send to Larry. Great. Okay, and I say the story, and I say thanks, Larry, and I'll mail this off to him and maybe touch bases again. Different books.
Yeah.
The year was 73. They were ready for 73. And this one was all about the Tea Party in 73, and all from old engravings that TJ had. So every one of those Indians was cut out and pasted on there, and the clock with the time was done. I had this picture of the tea chest. I loved dropping them down past an old engraving of... So most of these are cut and paste things. This was all cut and paste from stuff in the TJ Lyons collection. And this was from cartoons that I'd done for Boston University for a little booklet on things to do if you're a summer student. So you had to go all the way through there. And they were mailed out as a little package, or supposed to be mailed out. That was the part I never got to do. So that's why I have this huge collection of them here. Cartoon drawings, my collage pieces, and then those that were illustrative pieces, like the one I just read to you from the Roald Dahl. Hung those up. One here, it's gotten kind of interesting because in hanging up some of these things, because they're cloth, I've begun to experiment with planning the creases. Okay, so I'm very careful to put in the wrinkles and sort of change. So if you were to come at this one from the right, you'd have something to go around to look into the painting.
Right.
All right, so that was interesting. Work got held up. Just slightly, but just enough. Now this painting here needs to be very carefully vacuumed and then hopefully steamed to get the wrinkles out of it. It was one of the ones that, well, when the light's behind it in the different days, times of the day and so on and so forth, it has a nice change, the crap on. So that's what I've been doing. I think I had this one over there or something like that. They just get moved around every once in a while. This one was interesting. One of the things that I did in '64 when I was at Yale, and it's one of the last oil paintings, okay, of that summer. And then that fall I finished up my oil paintings, and then I got the big commission that I had to get out for a closing date, and I got enough of an advance to get all my acrylics. This one will be really nice when it has the chance to just rope up. But this was what was fun here. Well, I can't get that one to move. There you go. A little exaggerated. And then there are wrinkles in here, and it tends to emphasize or push something forward literally in the painting. And I've had other ones like that. Now this is, so, you know, I'm looking forward to the day when or this way, you'd see it here, okay? And then as you move past it and walk in that direction, you suddenly will see a different set of images. And so these are made for more of a sense of sculptural appreciation. The sides, and of course that was an economic procedure to not have to afford expensive frames on big paintings. To these here. Okay, now you're going to shift to incandescent light because it isn't done very well. I simply work with the energies that are available on a visual plane. Right. So I have the energy of a circle, which is very compressed, or of a square, which is very regular. And I paint the interferences. Okay? What was so much fun about these in here is when I started hanging them, and then I went through all the trouble, Werner, of hanging them off. So what was really lovely is with a few people here and a nice dinner, these paintings move. Because my own draft as I walked by, now that painting is still moving simply from my breeze. Now before I used to have to put lights in the back of them and make them twinkle. You remember those?
Oh yeah.
And you remember all our friends of the 60s and early 70s coming over and sitting on the couch in a fairly dim room with my lights going at 1 RPM, changing very subtly and then turning and saying, I think I'm having a flashback, I have to go home.
But don't you miss the meetings on Friday or Saturdays? I thought about it the other day, so when I walked around the river, and I look at Boston, I get all these Boston memories that I normally don't have any time for to think about. And I realized this was at the time of Boston Tea Party beginning or so. Mm-hmm. And your place and your artwork was quite a meeting place for some folks to get together and explore their minds. So
yeah, and it really wasn't powerful psychedelics at all.
No.
Well, some of the people were experimenting,
I'm
but
talking,
we didn't have a big opportunity. And so about this time, this motif, the square and the circle, and what I was looking for was a motif that wouldn't be like the cross. Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, as you can see with this one, if you come at it with a cross or a crucifix in the back of your mind, you got all the information you want to imagine in here. That ornamentation on the end is sort of variations on the Celtic decoration. Mm-hmm. And you know what those Celts used to do? They lived in stone huts. They'd get up early in the morning, and their job was to hand copy the Bible. So they would stand up and they would say, I'm going to offer my work today to God, and then they go in their little hut with their paint pots and they'd work all day long playing in colors. And of course, the Book of Kells was amazing. So this is, you know, my attempt to pull up those kinds of configurations and capture this thing here. You know, sometimes an image like would come to the front like the overwhelming nature of this one here, perhaps to look like a red arrow pointing down or in. Okay. And this was abstract enough, or let's say this was abstract enough, but I was always an illustrator. There's a set of teeth down there eating that lady. I don't know if you can get it or not. Okay. Or little stacking trips. So I've been slowly sort of planning this here. I suspect by the time it's warm enough so I can have a guest in here and not freeze them,